It's time to have the discussion. Who's the better 7th anniversary unit? We've got Legends Limited MUI Goku, who transforms from Ultra Instinct Sign. A very fluid unit, very easy to use, but also especially fun to use. And then on the other side, we've got Legends Limited SSBE Vegeta in his evolved form, transforms from Super Saiyan Blue. Quite the heavy hitter once he hits his peak, very dangerous and not to be slept on. Both of these units are phenomenal, they look very good as well, but one is better than the other, and we're going to talk about all the factors and we're going to put them against each other to get the conclusion about who is the better unit. Let me know in the comment section who you think is better, who you have, and who you prefer more. Let's get into this video. So to have everybody on the same page, we have to do a quick kit rundown, but feel free to skip these segments of the video as there's most likely filler if you know exactly what they do, but not everybody does. We're going to start with MUI Goku. So his main ability, he's able to transform into Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku. The main things you want to know is that he gets extra damage, healing and ki is normal, but 70% to his unique gauge is very valuable because his unique gauge is the dodge type. So just off transforming, he can just dodge a lot more, which is very useful. He's able to get cover null on entry, meaning that enemies cannot cover change and stop his combo unless his buffs are cancelled. He also gets ki and a card, which makes it very easy to switch into him and continue comboing. Something very important is that you have to build him up, so it's almost integral that you do at least 6 arts cards regarding strikes and blasts so that you can get the damage buffs so that when he transforms he can be in his optimal form. Something very underrated, when he's on the battlefield and the enemy activates a special move, ultimate arts or awakened arts, after the second time and every time onwards, he will go type neutral every time the enemy activates one. And just to elaborate on his gauge pre-transform can dodge tap attacks, strike arts and blast arts. It takes 30% of his gauge to dodge any one of those, and his gauge fills up gradually when he's on standby, but he can also fill it through other ways, such as his green card, which also gives him extra damage buffs. He gets 50% off of that, and like I mentioned earlier, his main ability. If we get into his post transformation, on his main ability he's gonna draw a blue card, heal 35%, his unique gauge will fill to 100%, which is crazy, and he also gets his vanishing gauge 100%. Just more ways to dodge continuously. A full gauge of dodging, bear in mind it decreases 30% every time he dodges something, is very valuable. That's at the maximum 3 dodges. In addition to that, if there's a defeated battle member, he will go type neutral completely, which is obviously very valuable for him. And it only takes 10 timer counts after transforming. Post transform in the same way as the pre-transform, he's gonna get a card on entry, he's gonna get HP, which is actually nice. The unique gauge will get filled, he gets cover null, he protects his ki for 10 timer counts, and he can nullify abnormal conditions for 5 timer counts, which is obviously nice. If there's a defeated battle member, he will fill his gauge 70% and also get extra damage. Every time he uses a strike art or a blast art, he's gonna get 20% damage inflicted, so he's able to snowball damage. Every time the enemy switches on the battlefield, he'll also get unique gauge up, so 30% from that. And if the enemy hits him with an arts card, he'll be gradually increasing their arts cost and decreasing their ki, which makes it harder for them to combo. I didn't mention it before, but pre and post transformation he has a strike cover change, and that can only be comboed into his blue. And his unique gauge is the same thing, but there's the added twist to it, where every time he dodges a strike or a blast art, he will deal damage to the enemy. This does a lot of damage, by the way, so you gotta be careful if MUI is gonna dodge any of your attacks. His green card also is different now. It has a major upgrade because it's a counter now. So any strike or blast arts plus tap actions that come his way, he's able to counter them and he'll spawn a blue card only the first time. But the major thing is that he activates no switching, which means the enemy can't escape and you get the free blue card to hit. He can nullify endurance from the blue card as well, which in combination makes the green card and the blue card very dangerous. His blue card also gives him 50% to unique gauge, and it does have blast armor if you want to go for any blast arts, which is also nice. Let's get into SSBE Vegeta now, starting with his pre-transform. On his main ability, he will transform into Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Evolved, and he will draw 4 cards if his hand has 3 or fewer. This means that he's amazing when it comes to extending his combo. On entry, he will draw a card and get ki. He also has cover null, but the thing I like most is that he's able to protect his hand. None of his cards can get destroyed, but switching into him means that he can also extend his combo this way. But if you thought it was done, we're not done. If his ki gets below 40, even though this is only one time, but it does reset every single switch, which is nice. He's able to draw 2 more cards if he has has 3 or fewer, and he gets an additional 30 ki while cancelling enemy attribute upgrades. If one of his allies are defeated, he's going to get extra damage, he's going to heal his allies, and all enemy strike and blast arts power will be decreased by 15% alongside the ultimate special move and awakened arts power, but that one will be 40%. So the enemy becomes significantly weaker, allowing him to take more damage alongside everybody on his team, to be honest. If he's hit by an enemy arts card, he's able to heal 10% and he's going to destroy 2 enemy cards. This is good to really hinder people's combos, especially if they don't have all 3 people alive on their team. And also when the enemy activates an ultimate art or awakened art, he'll go type neutral defensively, so only against the damage he's taking, not the damage he's dishing out. This is only for free time accounts, but it's uncancelable and it can happen every single time. He has a blast cover change and he's able to combo that into special moves, only special moves, and his unique gauge is called the evolve gauge. Now the aim is to get him to level 3 because that's where he's going to get the maximum buffs. I wouldn't say it's the easiest to get there, but every time you press an arts card, you work towards filling up the gauge. So once it fills, you press another arts card, it empties, and you level up the gauge. But once you get to level 3, he will become the best he can be. As you level up, it gets easier to level up. So at level 2, you can also charge it through charging ki, and in level 3, it's just while you're standing on the battlefield. He has blast armor on his strike arts. His green card's the grab type, gives him cover no. He's able to draw a card if he has 3 or fewer. He's going to get draw speed, and he can combo that into everything. And then his blue card does more damage depending on what level you're on. Ideally, you want to be at level 3. Now in the post transform, we've got his main ability, and he's able to destroy 2 cards, then draw one of each special move and special arts card, so the blue and the green card, which is very useful because his green card is still the grab type and his blue card can do major damage, especially if you're at level 3. He also goes type neutral completely, which is very valuable, and he also adds all enemies damage received plus 20%, so he can do even more damage. Most of his kit is the same, but there's a few things that have been added to make him better. For example, when you're on the battlefield and the enemy switches, he's able to get 60% of his vanishing gauge, and this can happen 2 times, which means that he can restart a new combo without switching out because he will have his vanish back. He also gets damage inflicted every time the enemy switches, 10%, but it's for 15 time accounts, which is still something. On entry, he's also able to remove card slot seals, so if anybody's sealing any of the cards in his deck, it will completely be uplifted and he can combo as normal while also still having his hand protected, just like the pre-transformation. That's pretty much it, because the post-transformation is very similar to the pre-transformation. Now we gotta get into the most valuable part of this debate, the kits. Whose kit is better? Now first off, I'm gonna talk about them individually. So as individual fighters, MUI Goku, he's more of the passive aggressive type. He's not someone to be praised extensively on his defenses, but unlike all the other Ultra Instinct units in history, he has slightly better defenses, honestly. But it's mainly his ability to consistently dodge and not get hit while being able to emit a lot of damage without any heavy build-up. It's very valuable. With the addition of him being able to fill his gauge so easily and then having the green card on standby, that's super nice. But SSBE, his build-up takes a lot more investment. He's able to do major damage once he gets to that level 3, but you won't be able to utilize him as that powerful unit off jump. Even though I would argue that SSBE Vegeta at his peak might be more valuable than MUI Goku, it takes too long to get that peak. So I think for individual kit, it's very clear that MUI Goku is the winner. It's just way easier to use him, and you don't have to think about calculating if you're going to be able to get to that level 3, especially when you're just dodging and immediately emitting damage. You almost always have some gauge, which is very annoying for the enemy to deal with. They have to proactively get around your gauge or drain it, and that's a lot of work, especially considering it'll probably just fill back up the minute you empty it somehow. And then you also have to be wary of the counter, so your options of draining his gauge is just lesser at all times. Whereas with Vegeta, his combo potential is extremely high, but the damage you'd be doing along the way won't be at the highest it can be, and it's definitely not comparable until you get closer to level 3, which makes him worse off for most of the battle. So for this individual kit category, MUI Goku takes the cake. Now we're still on the topic of kits, but this time we're going to talk about their value on a team. Dragon Ball Legends is a 3v3 game, so their individual value isn't the end all be all, even though it does contribute to a team. Now none of these units insanely support their team, but Vegeta does heal his allies. Also, let's put some emphasis on their elements, which I haven't mentioned up until now. Vegeta being purple and MUI Goku being blue, they fill different shoes on the teams that they fit on. Let me also add that MUI Goku is a melee type, while SSBE Vegeta is a range type. Now there's multiple ways you can look at this. You could look at their value on their best team, or you could look at their value on multiple teams, or you could also look at what they add to multiple teams. And that's 3 categories I've given you right there. I feel like if you look at their best team, it's very close. Vegeta on Vegeta Clan is doing good stuff with Ultra Margin Vegeta Vegeta existing, as well as Trunks and Gohan, you get numerous layers of survivability and cover many bases for elements while having a counter gauge available to that team, and he's able to heal his team, which is nice. I would argue that SSBE Vegeta doesn't have the best fit on universe rep simply because to get the optimal out of it, the better units on that team are more melee orientated, especially with Gold Frieza getting a platinum equipment. I think it's very easy to see the idea of MUI Goku being more valuable on universe rep if you also consider the Zenkai buffers that are necessary. Not necessarily saying that MUI Goku has more, but more so the other units on universe rep would eat off the same Zenkai buffers. For example, Gold Frieza and MVP 17. Revsign doesn't have his Zenkai yet, so we have to consider that later. If we also dive into another tag that's super valuable, Son Family, MUI Goku takes that. So I think in terms of our option of teams, MUI Goku is very clear. If we take their peak value on a team, we could potentially give SSBE Vegeta the benefit of the doubt, but I would still argue that what MUI Goku adds to a team while also being valuable on multiple teams makes him more valuable in regards to teams in general. So even though it's much closer in this category, we're still going to give it to MUI Goku based on his element being more valuable to teams, being able to synergize better with his teammates because of his element, and then playstyle as well. I didn't talk much about playstyle, but SSBE Vegeta, you have to be really selfish when it comes to him because it takes investment to build him up. Whereas with MUI Goku, he's already here and ready to go with his gauge being able to dodge and emit damage. Naturally, having to feed your striker versus having a striker that can build up their own plays, I know who I'm taking, and for this category, it's MUI Goku. Now for a more opinionated category, let's talk about their art cards. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of people are going to have bias here, and I might be one of those people in the category, but that's okay because this is an opinionated category, implying that you don't need to agree with what I say here. There's no right or wrong here. But if I was to break down what I see and not what I personally feel, I would say without a doubt, pre-transform MUI Goku takes the cake easily. The colors just pop more and are softer on the eyes. They look a lot better, whereas Vegeta's art is a lot more sharper, especially with the decision to draw a lot of sparks to show Vegeta's energy. He's in that static blue form, whereas with UI Goku pre-transform, he has the fluid UI sign, and I think that's a lot softer on the eyes and better to look at. But if we argue post-transform, MUI Goku keeps that fluid, soft aesthetic, making it very nice to look at. But I feel like Vegeta, he's also obtained that, and his aura there, the blue surrounding him, makes him also a lot more appealing to look at. But personally, I'm not a big fan of SSBE Vegeta's background. I feel like the background is too hard on and makes his art slightly worse than MUI Goku's, who also has a softer background, keeping his whole art consistent. What I will say is, I'm not really a fan of MUI Goku's pose. I don't like the fact that his hand is out. I feel like they could have chose a better pose, but it's not a bad pose either. I feel like Vegeta's pose is simple and it does the job more effectively. So for post-transform, I think I'm gonna give it to SSBE Vegeta, but it's not by much. Even though I feel like MUI Goku's art is better on the eyes, I think the design behind SSBE Vegeta's is definitely better. But pre-transform, I don't think it's close, and UI Goku's art is way better than Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. So for this category, I have the pre-transforms. MUI Goku is gapping SSBE Vegeta, but the post-transform, SSBE is better, but the gap is a lot smaller. So if I was to tally up the points in a way, I would say that overall, MUI Goku's art is definitely better in my opinion, but you guys let me know what you think about the things I said. Now, this is a category where there's no answer, but you can make your own deduction based on Dragon Ball Legends' history and what you see in these guys' kits. Here, we're talking about longevity, and we can never say who's going to age better, but in some cases, it's more obvious than not. In this case here, I think without a doubt, MUI Goku is going to age better. Units that do long combos, not to say they age bad, and units that also have to build up, not to say they always age bad, but really and truly, they have a time limit because power creep is going to hit them. They already don't start off strong, and if you have to commit to building them up, that's a lot of effort versus there's going to be the newer units that just start off strong and better, meaning that a lot of people won't want to go through the hassle because the unit that they value here, in this case is SSBE Vegeta, is going to feel weak, especially post boost. But at least with MUI Goku, when the power creep hits him, he'll be able to consistently dodge, so at least defensively he won't have to worry. But if his offenses aren't the greatest, he's still doing offensive damage at his peak at all times. Whereas SSBE Vegeta, he'll be below par and you'd have to work up to his peak, and his peak will probably match about the same as MUI Goku's anyways. So naturally I feel like he's more likely to fall off because of that. But Dragon Ball Legends is changing, so I can't exactly give you an exact right or wrong, but if you asked me to bet money, I'm not going to, I would take MUI Goku based on playstyle and current contribution to teams. I think having a good team supporting you and you supporting that team is going to be a big contributing factor to if you are the better unit long term or not. Already I'm seeing more people run MUI Goku on Universe Rep and SSBE Vegeta not being used as much on that team, and I believe once the top 20 units for ranked PvP for BR70 players in terms of usage releases, we will see that MUI Goku is going to be number one. He's more popular for sure, but if SSBE Vegeta was genuinely the better unit, you would see the shift, and I think that's very apparent, which is also an attribute to why I think MUI Goku's longevity will also be the winner in this category. So if I was to give my conclusion, I would say the winner of this whole debate is MUI Goku, taking almost every category. There are some extra categories I could have included, but I didn't want to micromanage and I didn't think it would make a difference because MUI Goku is actually washing once you get into the debate of who's genuinely better in all these categories. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know what you think about the debate between who's better in all the categories I've mentioned. But if you haven't already, be sure to press the subscribe button. We're on this grind to 200,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching, man. My name is Zakashi, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man.